Detach yourself from everything you can't control. Stoic wisdom. Is your mind a battlefield? Do you find yourself constantly replaying arguments, agonizing over decisions you can't possibly change, and stressing out about a future you can't predict? Do you feel like you're drowning in the immense weight of other people's drama, their expectations, and their problems? This isn't just a bad day. For many of us, it's a constant state of being. It's an internal war where peace feels like a distant rumor. You try to fix things, to steer relationships, to manage outcomes, only to wind up more exhausted, anxious, and tangled up than ever before. The problem of overattachment. You're gripping the steering wheel so tightly your knuckles have turned white. But the car's on a track, and you're just along for the ride. This feeling of being overwhelmed by things completely beyond your influence isn't just stressful. It's a thief. It steals your joy, your clarity, and your energy, leaving you depleted and wondering why your best efforts only seem to make things worse. That feeling of being perpetually overwhelmed has a name. It's the high cost of overattachment. It's the pain that comes from tying your inner peace to things outside of yourself. We are wired by evolution to connect, to care, and to invest ourselves in the world. But in our hyper-connected, high-pressure world, this natural tendency has morphed into a source of deep suffering. We attach our happiness to a partner's mood, our self-worth to a boss's approval, and our sense of calm to a world that is, by its very nature, chaotic and unpredictable. We think that if we can just control the situation, manage the person, or force the outcome, then we will finally feel calm. We plan meticulously, we strategize, we worry. We craft the perfect text, rehearse the difficult conversation, and play out every possible scenario in our heads, convinced that our effort is the key. But what happens when the text gets misinterpreted? When does the conversation go completely sideways? When an unexpected event makes all our planning useless? The result is a spike of anxiety, a wave of frustration, and a profound sense of powerlessness. This cycle is exhausting. It's like trying to hold back the ocean with your bare hands. The more you fight the tide of external events, the more you get battered and worn down. So much of our unhappiness is born from this fundamental mistake, thinking we have control over things when we really don't. This isn't a personal failing. It's a misunderstanding of how the world works. But there is a way to break free. There's an ancient, time-tested operating system for the human mind that offers a path out of this chaos and into a state of profound inner peace. It's called Stoicism, and its central tool is the practice of detachment. Introduce the solution. The Stoic path to inner peace. Stoicism, a philosophy born in ancient Greece over 2,000 years ago, offers a radical and deeply practical solution to modern anxiety. It's not about becoming emotionless or indifferent. It's not about suppressing your feelings with a stiff upper lip. Stoic detachment is the opposite. It's about engaging with the world wisely, with clarity and courage, but without letting your inner stability get shattered by it. The cornerstone of this philosophy, the master key that unlocks everything else, is a simple but life-altering idea known as the dichotomy of control. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who was once a slave and later a respected teacher, laid it out with perfect clarity. He argued that everything in life falls into one of two categories: things that are within our power and things that are not. So, what's in our power? Our thoughts, our judgments, our choices, our actions, and our responses. That's it. That's the entire list. What's not in our power? Pretty much everything else. This includes other people's opinions, their actions, and their feelings. It includes our health, our reputation, our wealth, the past, the future, and the outcomes of our efforts. The Stoic secret to tranquility is to pour every ounce of your energy into the first category and to practice calm, rational acceptance of the second. It's realizing that while you can't control the wind, you can always adjust your sails. This isn't passive resignation. It is an active, empowering choice to focus your power where it actually has an impact. By detaching your well-being from outcomes and other people, you reclaim your freedom. You stop being a slave to circumstance and become the master of your mind. Section 1. Recognize and accept what you can't control. The first and most foundational step is to relentlessly practice the dichotomy of control in your daily life. It's not enough to get it intellectually. You have to apply it like a craftsman uses a tool. The goal is to make this distinction second nature, an automatic filter for how you see the world. As Epictetus taught, the most important task in life is to identify and separate matters so you can tell yourself which things are external and not under your control, and which have to do with the choices you actually control. Think about a common source of stress. A difficult coworker. Their attitude is abrasive, their work ethic is lacking, and their negativity is draining. The untrained mind immediately focuses on what it can't control. You think, if only they'd be more positive, if only they'd do their work right. Why can't they just be reasonable? You spend your energy trying to change them. You might subtly criticize them, complain about them, or argue with them, hoping to force them to be different. All of this is a massive waste of your precious energy. Their personality, their habits, their emotional state, these are firmly in the cannot control category. The Stoic approach demands a radical shift in focus. Instead of looking outward at them, you look inward at yourself. What can you control here? You can control your perception of them, choosing to see their behavior as a reflection of their struggles, not a personal attack. You can control your response choosing to stay professional and composed instead of getting dragged into the negativity. You can control your actions, setting firm but respectful boundaries, focusing on your own tasks, and limiting your interactions to what's necessary and productive. You control your choice to not let their storm become your rain. By focusing only on your actions and judgments, you detach from the emotional turmoil their behavior creates. You don't change them, but you absolutely change the effect they have on you, which is the only victory that matters. Section 2. Mindful awareness of attachments. Once you start distinguishing what you can and can't control, the next step is to ask why. Why do you feel such a desperate need to control a certain outcome or person? This takes some courageous self-honesty. You have to become a detective of your own mind, observing your attachments without judgment. Let's take a look at romantic relationships. Imagine you're constantly anxious about your partner pulling away. This anxiety makes you seek constant reassurance. You check their social media, analyze the tone of their texts, and feel like you need to know their every thought. Your peace of mind has become completely attached to their validation. The Stoic practice here is to pause and ask, what is this attachment really about? Is it truly about them, or is it about a deeper fear inside of you? Maybe you're attached not just to the person, but to the idea of not being alone. Perhaps your self-worth is so tangled up with their approval that their distance feels like a threat to your very identity. This mindful awareness isn't about self-blame, it's about self-understanding. When you identify the root of the attachment like a fear of loneliness, you can start to work on the real problem. The problem isn't your partner's need for space, it's your dependence on them for a sense of wholeness. The Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journals, now known as Meditations, about the importance of finding refuge within your soul. He reminds us, nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul. By becoming aware of your unhealthy attachments, you can start redirecting that energy inward. You can begin to build a sense of self-worth that is independent of anyone else, creating a source of peace that no one can ever take from you. Section 3. Set healthy boundaries. Detachment isn't about building walls, it's about building fences. Healthy boundaries are the practical application of the dichotomy of control. They are the clear lines you draw that say, my well-being, my peace, my emotional energy are my responsibility, and I will protect them. This isn't selfish. It's essential for survival and for having healthy relationships. Without boundaries, you become a sponge for everyone else's emotions and problems, which leaves you drained and resentful. Think about a demanding family member who constantly leans on you for emotional support, financial help, or to solve their latest crisis. You love them, so you give and give until you have nothing left. You feel guilty saying no, so you sacrifice your own needs, time, and peace. A Stoic recognizes that while you can't control your family member's choices or their tendency to create drama, you control your participation in it. Setting a boundary might sound like, I love you and I want to support you, but I can't be available to talk after 9 p.m. That's my time to rest and recharge. Or I'm happy to help you brainstorm solutions, but I can't give you any more money. Notice the structure. It's calm, loving, but firm. It's not a rejection of the person. It's an honoring of your own limits. Learning to say no without guilt is a superpower, is you taking ownership of your inner world. Each time you enforce a healthy boundary, you're practicing detachment. You're detaching from the belief that you are responsible for everyone else's happiness and reattaching to the truth that you are only responsible for your own character and actions. Section 4. Limit contact and create space. Sometimes detachment requires taking a physical or digital step back. In particularly toxic situations, draining or damaging to your inner peace, creating space isn't an act of punishment. It's an act of self-preservation. This technique gives you the room to heal, regain your clarity, and see the situation from a more objective view. When you're caught in the middle of a storm, it's impossible to see the sky. Creating distance allows the clouds to part. Think of a friendship that has become one-sided and negative. Every conversation leaves you feeling exhausted and small. You've tried setting boundaries, but they are constantly ignored. In this case, the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to create space. This doesn't have to be a dramatic, scorched earth severing of ties. It can be a gentle, gradual process. You might decide not to initiate contact for a while. You could politely decline invitations, saying you have other commitments. You could even mute their notifications on your phone, so you aren't constantly pulled into their orbit. This space isn't a void. It's a sanctuary. It's a quiet room where you can finally hear your thoughts again. It allows the emotional charge of the situation to fade. From a distance, you can analyze the dynamic more clearly, free from the immediate emotional reactions. You can see how the relationship was impacting your well-being and make a more rational decision about its future. This isn't about running away from problems. It's about strategically retreating to higher ground so you can assess the battlefield from a position of strength, not down in the trenches where you're just reacting to chaos. Section 5. Focus on your own growth and goals. Nature abhors a vacuum. When you detach from an unhealthy fixation on something you can't control, you create a space in your mind. It's vital to fill that space with something productive and nourishing. The ultimate Stoic act of detachment is to redirect the massive reserves of energy you are spending on worry and control, and invest it back into the one project that is entirely within your power, yourself. Marcus Aurelius gave this advice. How much time he gains who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks, but only at what he does himself, to make it just and holy. Imagine all the hours you spend worrying about what others think of you or trying to manage their perceptions. Now imagine taking all those hours and dedicating them to learning a new skill, reading a challenging book, starting an exercise routine, or working on a passion project. If you're detaching from a stressful job you can't change, focus on updating your resume, taking an online course to expand your skill set, or networking with people in your field. If you're detaching from a relationship that has ended, pour your energy into reconnecting with friends, rediscovering old hobbies, or setting new personal fitness goals. This isn't just a distraction, it's a redirection. It's about building a life so full of purpose and personal satisfaction that your happiness is no longer fragile and dependent on external factors. You are building an internal fortress of self-respect and competence. The more you focus on your own growth, the smaller the problems outside of you become. You aren't just detaching from the negative. You're attaching to the positive, to your own potential, and to the person you are meant to be. Section 6. Reframe your thinking. The Stoics were the original cognitive behavioral therapists. They understood that it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments and beliefs about them. Epictetus stated this plainly. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them. This is maybe the most powerful tool for detachment because it happens entirely within your mind. It's the art of cognitive reframing, consciously choosing to change the story you tell yourself about a situation. Let's say you have a professional setback. You were passed over for a promotion you desperately wanted. The automatic, unreframed thought is, this is a disaster. I'm a failure. My boss doesn't value me. My career is over. This story generates feelings of despair and anger. It's a story that gives all the power to the external event. A Stoic would reframe this narrative. First, they would accept the reality of the situation without the drama. Then, they would challenge the catastrophic story. Instead of this as a disaster, they might reframe it as, this is an unexpected outcome. It's disappointing, but it's not the end of the world.
Instead of,
I'm a failure, they could say. This outcome does not define my worth. my effort was in my control. The final decision was not. The most powerful reframe is to see the obstacle as an opportunity. The great Stoic philosopher Seneca believed that adversity is where virtue shines. He wrote that a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a person perfected without trials. So, the reframe becomes, what can I learn from this? This setback is an opportunity to reevaluate my skills, to seek feedback, and to become even more resilient and prepared for the next opportunity. The obstacle is the way. By reframing the event, you detach from the initial emotional sting and transform a perceived failure into a catalyst for growth. You take back the power from the event and place it firmly back in your own mind. Conclusion. The journey of detachment isn't a single act, but a lifelong practice. It's a daily commitment to sorting what is yours to control from what is not. It's the courage to look at your deepest attachments and ask why they're there. It's the strength to draw boundaries that protect your peace. It's the wisdom to create space when you need it, and the discipline to redirect your focus back onto your growth. And it's the transformative art of reframing your thoughts, turning obstacles into opportunities. To detach is not to stop caring. It is to care wisely. It is to love people without making your happiness their burden. It is to pursue goals with everything you have, while accepting that the final outcome is never truly yours to command. By releasing your death grip on the uncontrollable, you don't lose power, you gain it. Can't you gain the power to remain calm amid chaos, to act with courage when others are lost in panic, and to build a fortress of inner tranquility that no external event can breach? The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who faced plague, war, and betrayal, left us with this profound insight. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is the heart of Stoic detachment. It is the key to unlocking a life not free from problems, but free from the suffering they cause. A life of resilience, purpose, and profound, unshakable peace. If this message resonated with you and you're ready to continue your journey toward inner peace, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss our next exploration into practical philosophy. And I have a question for you. What is one thing in your life you are struggling to detach from? Share your experience in the comments below. Reading and learning from each other is how we all grow. Thank you for watching.